Hello, my name is Jason and I'm into virtual pinball. I have been for about 7 years. Had a cabinet that we built about, I don't know, 2016. Since then, made another couple of cabinets, and I run all three at the school I'm at, and we run tournaments and competitions that go over a few months, a year. Uh, in those tournaments, we always have modded tables, so graphics and sound will be modded. Not much in the way of code. Visual pinball's amazing, and the community is amazing, but there's a bit of a learning curve, of course, if you want to learn how to code. For me, it's never really been an option. It's just too out of my wheelhouse. So anyway, a few weeks ago, when I saw an ad for Pinbuilder on one of the virtual pinball Facebook pages, and it sounded like this could be really good. Watched the initial videos, and definitely looked promising, sounded promising. And so when they released it, I decided I would buy it and try it out. So today I'll just want to show whoever's interested a little bit of what it looks like and my experience, and also what I've been creating in that time. I've used it for, Steam says 50 hours. I'm not sure whether that's true, but let's just go with that. All right, so straight out of the box, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Was it going to work or not? And obviously the devs kind of said, hey, look, we're doing Steam Workshop. And so it kind of felt like, okay, well, is this going to even work, or is it going to be filled with bugs? I can say straight away that, look, it does work. And there has been some bugs, but along the way they get fixed, which is really awesome and exciting to be a part of. And right now you can make tables that will work. And yeah, that's exciting. Obviously there's certain limitations, but and at the moment I think probably table design, you would be looking at pinball tables from the early-ish 80s that you could perfectly recreate. As you go on, and perhaps you get into upper play fields and steel ramps and few other, I don't know, toys and a few other things that got introduced into tables later in the 80s. At the moment, those things aren't available in Pinbuilder. But yeah, they're promising that they will be, so that's kind of cool. All right, comes with, I believe, these 4 tables, and so straight away, of course, I loaded them up and tested them out, and probably a little bit underwhelmed just because I'm not really into those early 80s tables. Probably Cyclone F-14s, Space Shuttle. They're probably some of my favourite 80s tables, and of course they came a little bit later. But in saying that, the tables that they have made work, scoring works, the logic works, and yeah, of course, initially I probably didn't realise the kind of work it actually takes to make a table. And to make a table work and to make it actually function and be good and feel good. So I think they've actually done a great job now that I realise that is how it goes. And it's a lot harder to make a table than definitely I thought. I thought perhaps you just lay out things and they'll magically work. They really don't. Layout is king. And no wonder the people that make pinball tables spend so long, designing and developing the flow of tables to make them really shine. So, I'll just show you another table. The other thing that initially kind of got me a little bit was just, yeah, some of the controls. Of course, they're different to some of the things that you expect in Virtual Pinball. And straight out of the bat, they had the ability to modify and change your key bindings, but it didn't work. That's all good. Apparently it works now. Meanwhile, while we waited for the first update, I just got used to the keys that they had set. So now that's what I'm using. Alright, so there's their tables, which is cool. And they work, they have a bit of a flow. It obviously feels different from, you know, what I'm used to in Virtual Pinball. But everything in Virtual Pinball works differently and feels differently, whether it's Pinball FX or Future Pinball or VPX. You know, they all have a different feel to them. So once again, the more time I've spent on Pinbuilder, the more I've gotten used to, okay, this is how this feels. And it doesn't feel as bad as it initially did, that's for sure. Alright, somewhere along the way, I clicked on the old blank table and decided to start building and making my own. So down here you have all the different objects that you can put on your playfield. Probably I'm still perhaps discovering some of them, like I've never used the stand-up switch yet. And a couple of these other bits I've never actually used, so I wouldn't completely know how they work. But of course you got your flippers, you can throw them on, you can move them around to wherever you want, and you can also change the power of how much they kick. And you can also, in the latest update, I don't know whether you can see that, there's a bit of a ghost image, but you can change the angle of how far they will go, which is really good. Initially, you couldn't do that, and so all the flippers kind of felt the same, etc., etc. Alright, the other thing is you've kind of got these 3 bits here. Once again, initially, these didn't really seem to work too well, and so I just got into using keyboard shortcuts, which was fine. But basically, we've got the move tool, so if you click on your part with the move tool, you can move it around. This next one is rotate. I don't think you can rotate the flippers, but let's put a different object on. Slingshot. So with the old rotate, away you go. Switch it back to move tool to move it. And the last one is the scale. And not everything is built to scale, of course. So I'll just grab an item that I know works. These plastics. I mean these the little light fixtures. So with scale we can go like that, or you have the old hold down shift and it will do it exponentially, I think, is or in order, so that both the Y and the X go at the same time. Alright, so that was laying bits and pieces out. I have gotten right into using these steel walls, and so once again they can be moved around, they can be rotated, but the big magic thing is holding Alt, grabbing a point. Sometimes you sort of got to double click perhaps, or we'll try. Oh, hang on, I'm on rotate, so that's not going to work. Sorry. Go back to move, hold down Alt, grab a piece. Hang on, we'll get it, we'll get it. We'll get it. Not quite. Sometimes it's a little bit interesting. Which is good to see on camera. And sometimes it might just be, hey, I haven't got the camera in the right place, I haven't got the mouse in the right place. But once you do, then you can move these parts and deform it to whatever shape you desire. And so for the tables I've been working on, I grab these a lot and connect them together to make my bits and pieces. All right, let's go and have a look at tables I've been working on. So I want to make unique tables for students at my school to play. But the first table I started is Scooby-Doo table. And so I sort of got in there, not really knowing what I was doing, did a little bit of layout and and a bit of logic with some lights. My logic doesn't work too well yet, but at the same time, it looks promising. I will have to get better at logic before I make this able to make this good. It's definitely not good yet. I'll just show you a couple of things that I've done here. So one is they have these kind of wire ramps and they're kind of like a rainbow. So I did the old, made it so that the ball can go under that piece, but of course it has to come back down to kind of the play field. It's a little bit wonky up here, to be honest, and you can't shoot too strongly, otherwise the ball's just going to go off. But that's my table design, right? There's nothing to do with Pinbuilder. Shoot the ball, and these four things down the bottom, the old clue. Let's see if we can get those. I've got, you can just release balls from a certain place for testing, so do that quite often. Alright, once I get all these clues, hang on, one more. Okay. You can kind of see, hopefully, in the middle there, the clues found, they slowly light up. And once you've got all the clues found, okay, you can see a little bit of a ball stuck there. That's because I obviously need to widen that piece. So as I said, this table is not beautiful at the moment, that's for sure. But hey, oh, I don't even know where I'm going right now. Hang on. Look, let's get out of there and get back here so I can talk about it a little bit more. Okay. So obviously this little piece needs to go in a little bit. That's easy enough. I am on the move thing. I can hold down Alt and just move that in, which is pretty cool. So now the ball will probably go down when I test it. I'll just talk about my logic quickly. So basically, if you collect clue, it will light up one of these, and then you need to do it 5 times. Once that's done, you get the clue jackpot. None of that, I mean, it does work in terms of lighting. Yeah, and then once that's done, I'm not sure what happens. These mystery things, I've got M, Y, S, blah, 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 the rest of the letters there. And hit those and you spell mystery, and that will light that up. It's kind of cool. But the thing is, the main thing, I really like story in pinball, story in modes. So I was kind of trying to do that as much as I could. It definitely needs some work. But the idea to capture the villains is you put balls into the four traps. Then all these lights come on and you've got to shoot up there to capture the villain. And so I've got 5 Scooby-Doo villains there that you've got to capture. Yeah, so I've kind of done some logic for that, which partly works, but the problem is if you just shoot up here at any time and go over that rollover, it will just light up the villain anyway, like you've captured them, which is kind of annoying. And yeah, I'm not sure what to do about that. So I'll just show you how the logic works. Click on logic mode, and I've got all these little things, these little logic things that have been made. What's a simple one to be able to talk about? All right, let's try the clues. Okay, so you can kind of see this little piece of logic is connected to each one of these rollovers, which is then connected to lighting up the lights, and then lighting up the lights, and then somewhere in here, this guy is then triggered from that one, and this one will do this in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And it also talks to this one. Oh, not this one. This clue jackpot. Okay, so that clue collected then talks to this. And if all of those are done, this will turn on. These are all set up over here and by the switches themselves. The lights, I can't remember. Oh, yeah. The lights also connected. Actually, let's just see if that roller. Oh, yep. That's connected to a logic controller as well. So the promise is amazing, because I think while I've gotten partway for certain things, I know that there must be ways to connect these things really well and have them work decently. Mine does not work decently, and yeah, it's a bit interesting, but that's all right. That's been my first go, so it's kind of cool. A big thing with table design though, and you know, when you're first starting out, I didn't know, but it's definitely the layout and the flow is number one. So let's just see if I can get back to my table. I think I've done something interesting with all of this. Hang on. There we go. That's a bit better, isn't it? Whoop. It does come with several views that you can do. And or you can move the camera wherever you want. I do think, so I haven't put this in my cab yet, but I imagine you can just set that up. You know, get your camera decent. And it should work fine in your cab, so that's kind of cool. Alright, I'll just have one more quick blast at this and I'll show you what else I have had a go at. I'll just see if I can get all these purple guys. Okay, what's happened, because you saw me change that little piece under the slingshot, is I didn't save it, okay? So because I didn't save it, it has just still got the last iteration of that, so that ain't gonna work. Alright, let's move on to something else. Let's get out of here. And the next thing I've had a go at was I want to make a basketball game for my school for our coming tournament. So I have been testing lots of bits and pieces, trying to make a half decent play field. That isn't too hard because our students aren't top players or anything. Isn't too hard, but also hopefully is unique. Well, I think the old games are great. I do want something that, feels like it's got something more to it than just, I don't know, classic pinball. Nothing wrong with classic pinball, of course. But our students are definitely used to seeing some 3D models and the odd toy that does something interesting on playfields. So hoping to kind of have an interesting layout that actually works, etc. But the thing I wanted to say, so this is me just messing around with layout at the top there, and it's been interesting because some of those shots to get it up is just really hard to achieve. And I'll just show you what this looks like as I move up. So I've done a bit of this business, and I'm really unsure whether I'll keep too much of this, but we're having a bit of a blast in working out, look, how do things feel and how do they work? Alright, which leads me to today, and just before, a little bit earlier on, I decided to have a look at some early 80s tables just for some ideas and check out some of the ways they lay out things. So I downloaded a picture of this BMX table, and I have and I've set up some parts where they should be over top of this image. Okay, so yeah, now I imagine the real BMX table probably has ramps, so even though this looks like it's got ramps, it's not, it's all just flat. I'll just show you quickly. If I go, I think there's another way to do this now, but if I go here, I'll just change the playfield texture to nothing. There you can see, so they're the bits and pieces that I've laid out on top, and you can see it's all just one level, yeah? Now, if I turn that texture back on, I think it was that one, eh? If I go like that to play it, okay, that all comes back. And yeah, so I laid this out because I've had a few goes now. It didn't actually take me too long to do this. Obviously it hasn't been tweaked or too much, but the thing I definitely realized was it just plays so much better than well, both of my homemade tables that I've done, just because the layout I think is actually designed to be good for pinball. So I will definitely spend more time in the future studying and mimicking parts from existing pinball tables, because I think some of these things, the hard work has actually been done for people, and when you see new pinball tables, well, they always have things that are very similar to other tables, which is great. So yeah, that little piece at the top, I don't think we're going to see too much. I'll throw another ball in there. There we go. Yeah, so, this only took me maybe an hour at the most to lay these bits and pieces. Obviously there's no coding, there's no lights, there's no switches really, other than a few, there's those drop down targets. But this definitely plays a lot nicer than my tables at the moment. So yeah, that's Pinbuilder. And for me, it's awesome. You know, I get to create my own table, so how exciting is that? And yeah, I look forward to learning more about Logic. I look forward to the Pinbuilder devs. You know, they keep on updating bits and pieces, and the bits and pieces really make a difference, especially when you're already using the software. So it's exciting. It's like getting a present when they do an update. It's very cool, and you know, the promise of things in the future is going to be amazing. I'm sure it will take a long time before it's you know, incorporating things that VPX has, all the bits and pieces that, you know, it's amazing what people do with VPX, of course. And but as software that I can use to actually make something myself, I definitely say yes, this is great, and keep going, devs. I look forward to the community. I've had a couple of little chats with people on Facebook about it, but I think that community will really kick off when they get their Steam workshop, and that'll be exciting to be able to play other people's tables and hopefully learn from each other. You know, how do you do this? How do you do that? Will be really cool. Be able to ask questions, hopefully, of other people that nut these bits and pieces out. So yeah, it's probably cost more than things I normally buy on Steam, you know, but I was buying it as a piece of software, not as a game. Normally, I probably buy games that are discounted, to be honest, and but this was software, and you know, compared to I do quite a bit with music, and compared to like some of the VSTs and things and what you have to pay for them, um, you know, this is a bit of a no-brainer, really, and it works. So yeah, all right, farewell.